O'clock, and it looks like we have a quorum. So welcome everyone to the joint meeting for the Rules and Open Government Committee and Committee of the Whole. Tony, can we have a roll call, please?
Arenas? Cohen?
Here.
Davis? Perales?
Here.
Jones?
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. So the first item of business is the agenda for Tuesday, February 8th. And we are going to start out on pages 4 and 5. Pages 6 and 7. Eight and 9. Ten and 11. 12 and 13. 14 and 15. 16 and 17. And that is it. So I will now go to public comments first. So Tessa?
Yeah, well, basically the link is broken. It was broken going onto the agenda. We are saying we want Tony Tabor to be fired because she's not doing a good job. And then on top of it, why couldn't I get the council agenda? I couldn't get it right now. I got the 15th, but the 8th was gone. And then we don't get it till an hour before or something. That's bad. And we need to fix that. And so the issues that I know where I was trying to look at the agenda quickly, and I really don't like page 8, page 9. You think that helps the public? No. You should read the agenda. You can read it in 2 minutes. Blair reads it to me. Okay, you read it out loud so we can hear it. What do we know about page? What about person that's blind? That's called equity for the all. For the, if you're supposed to be for the whole. Anyway, so basically, let me get back to my clock because I know I only have 2 minutes. And so basically, thank you. What I'm really mad about is the fact that we're getting a hotel on our property at 615, and we don't want that. And what it is So this is about housing, it's about climate change, it's about diesel, it's about a lot of issues that were on our agenda. And what it is that we are living in a polluted area. 2 more people died in my community today, this holiday season, okay? 2 more
Hey,
people died of
Tessa?
cancer. What?
Um,
You're saying it's not related. And I don't want to hear about that, Chappie. It is related. I couldn't even get to the agenda, and you're not doing a good job. So I want to say is that we have to start imagining a new world. And what that means is that we need to have on that property housing. We need housing. We do not need hotels, and we need to grow food, and we need to build without car infrastructure, because that has to go away. And we need to change our general plan. If that's on the agenda, we'll throw that in. And you did a terrible job of letting our neighborhood know about the general plan change. And you know, Chappie, what I'm talking about, because your neighborhood thought a hotel too. And you said just because you can doesn't mean you should. The thing is, we need to change it.
Paul?
Good afternoon, Council. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I want to agree with what Tessa just stated with respect to the agendas. However, today, thank you to staff, because that agenda was posted like yesterday and probably even a day before that. And I appreciate that, because I need time to study, to have conversations, to formulate my position and come here, because there's only 2 minutes that I have. That's all I have. And anybody knows that when you are practicing rhetoric within this context, you need to be able to set your premise and then build upon it. And that it's very hard, and it's already known that it's very difficult to do that within the context of 1 minute, because we've been abbreviated a lot with respect to this agenda. Now, to respect what Vice Mayor Jones is saying about the agenda and staying on topic, a lot of these things, there is a political, sociological, spiritual, philosophical, ethical, moral, all of those issues contained in one topic. And to say that we just make it exclusive about that and impugn the tentacle effects that can stem from those decisions, I think we need to challenge that. And I think it's a healthy thing to do that. You know, that's what a democracy does. A democracy is predicated upon the consent of the people. And I'm not an informed citizen right now, nor is Tessa, nor is anyone else that listens to these calls. So I submit respectfully to stop that and start respecting us as who we are. We are those that give you consent to govern me. So you answer to me. That's just a stated fact. That's a basic principle of democracy. Now, with respect to this agenda, I'm asking the developers, please take that item off, or you're going to get embarrassed next week, because that it's worth 5 million and the people are not going to tolerate it. I just don't want to embarrass you in the context of these meetings, because that's what will happen.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Happy Wednesday. Happy February. I'm interested. Well, first, item 2.7 is about issues of continuing the hybrid public meeting process in this time of COVID. I'm really sorry last week to Council Vice Mayor Jones and to various local governments if my passion got a bit out of hand last time. You know, I want to be able to build bridges at this time, and San Jose is always really nice to allow me a few extra words at the hybrid meeting items. So thank you for that, and I just hope we can talk about community public health and safety at the time of hybrid meeting approvals in the future. For the equity items on the council agenda, I'm interested how San Jose city officials, city government, and community can work more together in the next few months to openly talk about how ideas of equity can be connected to ideas of baseline community services. It could possibly help relieve some community tensions and continual misunderstandings, as East Side residents and all of San Jose can then help better define and be more clear of what we can then all call baseline services. And from this, we can then continue the efforts in what can be better services and choices to East Side residents, as they simply still do not have the same access and choices as West Side residents. To conclude with 35 seconds, thank you for the items about community forest management coming up. I'm interested, I've been mentioning that you'll be working with Cal OES on these issues, which means you'll be talking about the future of emergency planning and development also, I feel. it allows that conversation to take place. And I hope it does, how we can be emergency planning for the next few years and how trees will be a part of that process. So good luck in all of that good work, and thank you.
Thank you, Blair, for being on point and on topic. Next speaker is person ending in 4963.
Yeah, hi, Martha O'Connell. Week after week after week, month after month, we get the same complaints about the agendas, the postings, and all of this. And I'm saying this in a spirit of solidarity with folks who want to be involved in their government. I highly recommend that you perhaps take a more productive method than continuing to bash the city clerk. I continue to say that Ms. Tabor does not work in a vacuum. If you want the process changed, then I highly recommend you go to a particular council person that you think would be amenable to changing how the agendas are handled, including this agenda today, and you get them to put an item before the city council and there is a vote. I sincerely believe that is the most productive way to deal with the agendas because it happens week after week after week. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. About the consent items in the final agenda, the city clerk, I think it was, or somebody changed so we can add an e-comment to each of those items. So that was really helpful. And that's about it. I just want to thank everyone for the hard work they're doing. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Lee, before we bring it back to the committee, I always have to ask my standard question. It's pretty robust agenda. Are there any items from a load balancing perspective that we can move out to a future council meeting?
So for the 8th, staff has gone through, we've moved various items that can be moved to future meetings, but the items on the 8th should be heard on the 8th. Otherwise, other projects will back up, Vice Mayor.
Great, thank you. I'm going to continue to ask you that, Lee, so be ready.
I will.
All right. So can I get a motion in a second on this item?
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas? Cohen?
Yes. Sorry, Tony.
Oh, got you. Cohen?
Aye.
Davis?
Yes.
Peralez?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the meeting for Tuesday, February 15th. And we're going to start on pages 4 and 5. Pages 6 and 7. Pages 8 and 9. Pages 10 and 11. Pages 12 and 13. And that's it. So I'm going to go to the public first. Paul, go ahead.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. To comment on the last item with respect to the agendas is that I think one of the answers to your observation, Vice Mayor Chappie, is that the caller is Caucasian. I'm Chicano that lived in this city I'm the 6th generation of my people in this city. And my relatives and my ancestors that are buried in the cemeteries right here suffered those injustices that I, in my generation, or doing whatever it is that I can in order to set that correct. Okay, so let there be no comparison between the Chicano experience in this city and that of a Caucasian, period, or that of a Vietnamese.
Paul,
In fact, I expect more of a thank you.
Paul,
Yes,
Paul, can you stick to the agenda?
yes,
Please.
yes. I am, because this has everything to do with the agenda. Is because this what is happening here. Now, this one wasn't posted. The last one was, in this item, it wasn't. And this is consistent with the theme of the agendas. Look at how many millions of dollars are stacked on that. Okay, you want, look, I'll go to the financial and the economic. Look at how many millions of dollars have been going through that consent calendar. And there is absolutely no discussion. And the only discussion is at the discretion of people that concentrate power. That is the representatives on the council. They concentrate the power, okay, amongst themselves, and they form deals with the nonprofits. So the nonprofits now is exercising political power and access that the regular general public does not. That's a problem. And what happens is that it all goes through the consent calendar so that there's no questioning of that process. What it does is it hides it in plain sight and under the law. That's why I don't have any respect for the law, because the law, it lies, it's manipulated, and people use it and they play around with words. That's why.
Brian?
Sorry, Vice Mayor. I think the agenda items are well placed, and I agree with trying to, it gets really packed. And I would like to keep the hybrid. I hope, I don't want to get too far afield. I want to keep the hybrid because it really allows me to interject some ideas because of the fact I work 3 jobs, about 18 hours a day, and it's hard to get over there at that. The other thing is, I know it's sometimes come off, but a lot of the stuff that Mr. Soto says is actually fairly accurate. And we probably wouldn't say it the same way, but I think he's trying to make a point. I'm starting to begin to see that, because coming from a Caucasian male standpoint, I don't have a clue. And I told I'm the first one to admit that. What other people of other ethnic and diverse backgrounds go through, I don't. I'm just now beginning to barely recognize my favored status. And I really, actually, I don't like it. I'm sort of ashamed in a way that I didn't recognize it before, but sometimes an old dog can learn new tricks. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Sorry, I got off topic.
Thank you, Blair.
Hi, thank you for this item today. You know, to speak to the words of Paul, you know, I'm trying to learn my place as a Caucasian as well in this process of San Jose. I hope for all his drum beating that Paul is offering right now, he realizes also that people do try to offer some really good intentions sometimes, and that even though we may not have had the same experiences, a person like myself is really trying to, I mean, I lack knowledge, I lack better understandings, but I'm trying my darndest here towards a really good purpose and cause that needs all the good energy and positive help as possible. And for Paul to be continuously drumbeating a certain point of view and perspective it has its purpose and understandings. He needs to learn to incorporate that, encompass the sharing of a community towards the future of a good cause in working together. And what that means in working together as a community process towards our whole. I think that's incredibly important on a number of issues this time we're trying to address. That for everything that Paul's saying, how does he then bring it back to a whole community process? That's what I would like to be working on. To continue to bring up whole community process issues, this item has a bunch of stuff about digital equity issues, and it's as important and as meaningful to our future as it is. It can't be whole without the ideas of open public policies and accountability practices with the technology involved, so we can have this digital inclusion future. Our children, if they understand open public policy ideas and good practices, that's the digital inclusion future we need to be building. And that's the good stuff. And just a reminder of those important lessons into the new IT managers.
All right, Tessa.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, this is fabulous that we are having the ability to communicate digitally. It's very important. It should not be I guess I took my mask off. It should not be hybrid, and it needs to be all of us on the same page. And that means all of us working at home. And that's how we all should be doing it. And, I was looking at, the Matt Mahan and Deb Davis are running for mayor, and I'm looking at the comments from Daniel Mart. Daniel Mart is our leader because he is asking of these politicians that we approve Google Village. We approve Google Village when we have 10,000 homeless. Okay, so that's on the agenda. Yeah, I know. We're talking about homelessness and housing. And really what I was going to start, if you want me to start, I'll start over because it was about diesel. And the diesel was on the agenda. There was something about diesel and you're going to buy something for your plumbing and blah, blah, blah. Well, I live across from a diesel bus depot, okay? And we have so much disease in this neighborhood that we are on the agenda of the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, which you have never gotten together with. And I blame you, okay? And I blame my politicians that have supported. What's that? What, could you please start hey, somebody's talking. Okay, you got to start it over. I got to get 2 more minutes for that interruption.
Keep talking,
disgusting. Yeah, that's disgusting. And so the thing is that, what I'm saying is that I am envisioning my neighborhood, and what Blair was saying and what Paul is saying is we need a better democracy. And what it is, it's digital democracy where we vote about what we want in our neighborhood. And we do not want a hotel. We want to grow food and we want housing. That's what we want in our neighborhood. And we want fossil fuel free because we don't want any car infrastructure because cars have destroyed our lives in so many ways. And the pollution in this neighborhood demands that we stop the polluting, and we have to stop it. And that's the way we need to.
Martha?
Yeah, I'll make this quick. You allowed other people to speak to the issue. This is Martha O'Connell. Chappie, I think we're on a dangerous, slippery slope when we are allowing these kind of comments which attack a person's color and not the content of their comment. We are in a very dangerous, slippery slope. I wish you would stop these kind of comments, and people should be judged by their comment that they make and not whatever race they are, their sexual orientation, or whatever. So it needs to stop because it's getting very intimidating, and I make no apology for my race or my sexual orientation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing it back to well, actually, we have one more public speaker, just has a letter. I think it's a S.
Yeah, I do want to I just want to agree with Martha a little bit. This has been one of the wildest meetings, and I've been to a lot of them, where it just seems like everyone just gets to call in and say like whatever. So I'm just going to give a shout out to Blair and a shout out to Martha, just because everyone else gets to say random things.
Thank you. All right, bringing it back to the committee. Lee, before we entertain any motions, I'm going to ask the same question on this agenda because it is pretty packed. Are there any items from a load rebalancing perspective that can be pushed out?
So we usually do that analysis for the first week. There are items that absolutely need to be heard, such as the Measure E, property transfer tax allocation in time for budget. But there are other items on here, just in my initial glance, that don't legally need to be heard, that you could take consideration and move and defer if you'd like.
Okay. So what item 8.1 and 8.2 are those two items that could potentially be pushed out?
Yes, those could be pushed out if the committee wanted.
Okay. So Councilmember Cohen, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna make a comment about that because without knowing what's on the coming agendas after that, it feels hard for me to do that. We pushed a bunch of things out and ended up with a really long meeting on the 28th of January, and then an extra short meeting on the 1st. And because we pushed things off the 1st, it ended up with we had extra time. I wouldn't want to move anything off of the meeting that's 2 weeks from now until we know what's coming on the meeting after that. And of course, the week after that is a week off. So we kind of have to get an idea of what's on the agenda on March 1st before we know. And I think as budget comes, we're just going to get busier, in my opinion. So I just want to make sure when we're pushing things off, we're not doing it. And I know, Lee, you wouldn't do this in a vacuum of the entire upcoming calendar, but I'd be wary of loading those April and May meetings with too much because we pushed too much out in February.
Yes, right now, looking at the Horizon report, I wouldn't recommend pushing it to March 1st. We have the independent after action report, as well as use of force and 21st century policing. So we've tried to keep that as kind of a public safety focus. But Rules Committee could defer it to March 8th or a later date in March. Those two meetings do have flexibility.
So does that address your concern, Councilmember Cohen, or would your
I
preference?
don't know if it does or not. I mean, I don't know we ever have that crystal ball as to how long certain discussions will take and how long a meeting will be. And I think I'm just learning that we end up thinking a meeting's gonna be long and we move things, it ends up being short, and we wish we hadn't moved things, and then other meetings end up being way too long. And so part of me prefers to the idea of keeping things on an agenda until until we see whether even that day we need to move something because that meeting's going long, as opposed to always moving things off. But I don't have an objection to any single item getting moved. It's just a known about what's coming in the next few agendas. That's all. That's all I'll say.
Councilmember Brawless.
Yeah, thank you. I would agree with Councilmember Cohen in regards to, not necessarily needing to move anything that for a meeting that's 2 weeks out just yet. We have another shot at that, right, next week. But I do agree with trying to move any items at this meeting, at our rules meeting, rather than potentially waiting till after rules or the day of, or even worse, bumping up to a midnight deadline and then deferring something at the last minute. And only because that puts the community at a disadvantage if they think that we're going to have, hear an item on that day and then we don't. So I'm kind of in the middle there, but I do agree that I don't think we need to move anything on this agenda just yet. We get another bite at this next week. So I'll make a motion to approve this agenda as is and go from there.
Great, it's been moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. I just want to say, Councilmember Cohen, too, from time to time, it is okay for us to have a short meeting.
Oh, I don't disagree. But on the other hand, given the imbalance between the really long meeting and the short meeting, the goal should be to balance them. I
agree.
And I maybe it requires a little bit more looking ahead by the Rules Committee than at the Horizon report as we start having these conversations about moving things. That's all I was thinking. I get worried knowing what the April to June timeframe usually looks like as far as meetings go, about not being ambitious in our meetings early and then having a real problem later.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just didn't want you to feel disappointed if we had a short meeting every night. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Tony?
Arenas?
Yes.
Cohen?
Aye.
Davis?
Yes.
Peralez?
Yes.
Jones?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is meeting schedules. Set general plan hearing cycle 1 for 2022. I'm going to go to the public first. And Paul, you're going to speak to this item?
Yes, sir. I always do. It's just that if you don't have the capacity to see how connected it is, that's not my issue. I'm a part of a democracy, and that is my right. Now, if you need an education about it, I'll do that too. But let's not get it twisted. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Perales because it shows that you have an accurate assessment of what it is that I'm talking about and what it is that I'm looking at. And so I want to thank you for that. Councilman Cohen does, but just from a different perspective. Now, with this item, I would respectfully ask that a representative of the Racial Equity Office, because we passed the resolution, right? So this is one of the primary ways in which racial equity is practiced. Right here, these budgetary decisions that are made absolutely require the attendance of a representative of the Office of Racial Equity. So their budget needs to be increased, number one. That's number one, because in order for that office to have the efficacy that I expected from it, because I argued it when it didn't even have a stapler. I argued for that office. I was in every single budgetary and every single meeting that brought that particular office into fruition. There is not one other citizen that can make that claim. I can. So with that in mind, because I was against that definition, because that definition is powerless. There's no power in it. Okay, so this is what it looks like though. You guys passed it, this is what it looks like. And if there's an objection to it, I would like Councilman Perales to check me on that, because it is consistent with what it is that he stated yesterday. That was excellent. That was an accurate assessment and a coherent explanation of what equity looks like and the reasons why. Look at how long he had to speak in order to give you the actual picture of what it is that he meant by what he said. You see how complex that one word is? It took that kind of explanation in order to really grasp it and understand it in its fullness.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Sorry for my strong words in the last item. I mean no ill will towards Paul at all. Paul and I are having a philosophical discussion outside of this framework, outside of the city meeting process. So I'm really trying to defend the ideas of what can be good community development for all parts of our community at this time, and how we can do that. So sorry, I'm a little strong and adamant about that. For this item, for general plan issues, good luck in really, it was a really nice public record report you have that you're offering statistics and numbers of ELI and VLI housing for this coming year, and was it last year, last few years, and it's a hopeful sign, that, and so I thank you in the ELI numbers. We have to continue the efforts, continue to consider how mixed income ideas can offer an amazing flexibility to local neighborhoods, it seems, how to talk about the future of housing for all levels of income, and you can gauge that and bring it in at different levels. And I think it's interesting work that can take place with it. And that way people won't get so upset. I mean, but it's a bit naive on my part, but I'm hopeful. With my remaining time, this general plan is also going to be talking about urban village ideas for the North First Street project. And I think it can speak to overall urban village ideas that are going to be on the upcoming ballot list of things to do for San Jose in the next few years. I hope you take a strong approach with urban village things and don't go lazy. We have to be really mindful of how subsidies need to be for low income and extremely low income people. It has to be built that way in the future. Don't be cheap and cheesy with the.
Brian?
Yes, thank you really quick. An idea that maybe for the general plan is also, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic, some of us want to actually leave San Jose. Well, it's the cost of living, actually. It's just, and I don't want to pay, when I retire, I don't want to pay 3/4 or my whole check just for rent. And that's not going to change. We're going to pretend like it is, but no, it won't. If part of this could be, some of us want to transfer, a city even just city resources that could be on the websites as to really who to trust. I mean, get a bunch of different ideas, but there's so many other places to live where you can actually buy a house for, $100,000. And you can't do that here. You need $1 million or more just to buy a house, a box, actually, not even a house. And I don't want to live in a box. I've lived in I had a nice house that went away. And that's, nobody's fault but my own, but a part of this general plan, maybe discussing, maybe some people want to leave. And that it's moving out, just leaving is not easy for some of us with medical issues and stuff. But the cost of living around here is and then with the taxes and everything, no offense, but it's just extremely costly. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
Move to
One
approve.
more hand up.
Did you say there was a, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that. Tessa, go ahead.
Oh, whoever saved me, I love you. Thank you. Because actually my hand was up and then Tony Tabor takes it down, okay? That's wrong, okay? I put it up. I guess it wasn't at the right moment, even though it was after the last meeting. I put it up. She takes it down. I don't like that, okay? Because it's hard enough trying to be engaged in this process that we shouldn't have to, I have to check to see if my hand is still up. All right, so that's a problem. And the other issue is in regards to, I guess we're dealing, with the, I don't know if here it is, right, it's the general plan. I love that, Tony, that I love, that you put the issue that we're discussing up on the screen. Council doesn't even do that. We need to have that at all meetings. So it's a general plan, okay. The general plan, it sucks, okay? The thing is that we had a general plan change in our neighborhood at 615 Stockton Avenue. It originally was to go residential. That's how we got into our neighborhood. As one income, my husband only, I'm a stay-at-home mother, and we bought a bar that was turned into a residence because that was the general plan for the west side of Stockton, was to go all residential. All the properties on the west side were to go residential. Then you came in with your helicopter and your drone and you said, oh, that's commercial. We're gonna make money at that one. We want that one. We don't care what you want in your neighborhood and neighbors, which all of our neighbors came and we fought against a hotel. We fought, all my neighbors. We were there at the city council meeting, at the planning meeting. We were all there and you still didn't listen. You still didn't listen. And like Mayor Liccardo said out of the side of his mouth, oh, you can still do a hotel on that corner lot. And of course he was right. We don't want a hotel in our neighborhood. We want housing. This is the road to the Google Village. It needs to be the best of mankind. It needs to be fossil fuel free. It needs to be learning how to live fossil fuel free. And it needs to be growing food locally. That's what we need.
Thank you. So bringing it back to the committee, I know we had a motion and I heard a second. So we can go ahead and, Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Peralez,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item is release date for study session. I will go to the public first. And I don't see any hands raised, so I'm bringing it back. Oh, Paul, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. When was this posted? This agenda item, because I don't remember seeing it. What is the topic? Because I'm looking at the page and it says release date for study session. What is the topic?
A study session that was scheduled that we're now making a decision to release that date.
Okay, but it doesn't say what the topic though, is the question.
Hi, this is Tony. I want to.
See, I'm looking at.
This is Tony Tabor, City Clerk. We've had this question before. The council members are given tentative hold dates for potential study sessions. So that way, if we need to schedule a study session, they already have a date blocked on their calendar. There's not necessarily a topic scheduled for these dates.
Got it.
So they're just saying we don't have a topic, so you can go ahead and open your calendar.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for, because okay, so the topic is just study sessions in general. I could comment on that. Is that correct?
For that particular date.
Yeah.
Oh, for that particular date. Okay, and what is the date?
It would have been February 4th.
February 4th. Okay. Well, that doesn't give like the public time. See, that's why I appreciate what Councilman Peralez had stated. You see, because I read everything you produce. I study, I do research. I can't just, some stuff I can't come just off the top of my head. I mean, really, the large body of the work that I do is just from my head. Okay, but there's certain things that I have to take time for. You see, and so this is how why Robert's rules. It's based on a racist system, maintaining the racist policy, the slaveholders' power to concentrate it. So we all know that. That's what Robert's rules of order are predicated upon, was to be able to consolidate that power. But that's another topic. But it does affect this because I can't, when I'm preparing so I could submit my work, I don't have that because you.
Tessa?
Okay, great. Thank you, Paul. That was so right on. That's what it takes. You know, it takes a community to put all of our 3.5 pounds of brains together. That's why we need democracy, because we are failing as a species. I mean, that's what we're facing, is extinction. And, you know, along with the 6th mass extinction of other species, and it's called the Anthropocene. That's the epoch we are in, or the period. It's the Anthropocene, because we are changing the way the world is working. We are creating mass extinction from the way we're building, and the way what we're doing is even building. We shouldn't be building. We need to stop it. We need to stop everything and start dealing with our climate crisis. And we're not. We're going on like as if everything's normal. When you have a crisis, which we have, and what is the movie? Don't Look Up. I hope you all have watched it. And the song of Look Up. We need to look up. And if we see what's in the news right now with the weather that's happening across the nation, the immense amount of snow. Okay, so what I'm saying to say thank you is in regards to our general plan, we need to change the general plan. So in specific, in regards to Alan Wynn and changing the general plan to go back to residential so we can build. Okay.
I'm sorry, Tessa. That was the previous.
That's the study, right? Okay, yeah, you're so sweet. I love you. You are amazing. Okay, yeah, the study plan. That is so important. And when we set up these study plans, like this has to do with our climate emergency. That is one of the study plans that we've been thinking. And you just left it open. You never told us when it was. And that was exactly, you know, in terms of our Charter Review Commission. Yes, that needs to be on your agenda. That's what this should have been. It should have been noted, and it should have had more time, because yes, we need to go to that Charter Review Commission, or the one about the voting. You know, those were issues, and you never gave us a time, those that were listening. So it is important that you plan these things with openness. And they're.
Thank you, Brian.
Just real quick, I'd like to, I know this may not be the exact place to suggest a study session, but on the new, I sent a couple of emails to the council as far as like the 3D printing of houses, you know, for $4,000. It's being done in Mexico and in Texas, believe it or not. Entire communities are being printed up in weeks instead of, you know, decades and times. And a study session on alternative methods of building, like Councilperson Mahan's been saying, let's build it. We've already got the land, and I would like to see a study session on that. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee, Councilmember Cohen.
Yeah, just briefly, I want to thank you, Tony, for this process, because it's great that we have these times set aside ahead of time. It's much better than the alternative, which happens in a lot of places, which is that we have to call a special study session, and then we end up having to clear our calendar from the meetings that are there. So I appreciate that we have these times set aside during the year, and that when we decide we don't need them, we have to take this official vote just to make sure that our calendars are clear. So I'm going to move approval of this item.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Peralez,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the public record. Gonna go to public first. Tessa?
Thank you. You're doing a good job. Thank you. I really appreciate your help. You're doing a good job of leading these meetings. Thank you, Vice Mayor Jones, and helping us to stay on topic. But you give us a chance to go back and look at the little note and remember what we're doing. You know, it's hard to do everything, and everybody's doing the best we can. So we appreciate you really incorporating the public voice by, you know, helping us stay on topic, and giving us a chance to get back on it. So thank you. Anyway, public record. Yeah, I was just thinking about Blair Beekman, because Blair always talks about sustainability. And so And he says he's done that for 7 years. He's participated in our democracy for 7 years as a focus on sustainability. And that's what we need to be focusing on is sustainability, something that could go on forever. And we know the fossil fuel has to stop. It has to stop. And we're not doing it. We're not stopping it. And, I was thinking about the letter that this Daniel Mart writes, and he says, you went ahead and had the Google Village, and the Google Village has hotels, it has office buildings, it's got cars, everything we don't need. We need it to be an eco village. Everywhere needs to be an eco village. That's the way we need to be. San Jose has no trees. I mean, I was downtown over there on San Fernando with the big stupid building going up, the office building, whatever that's called. Anyway, and so, and we have all these office buildings. You can't see anybody. There's no balconies. There was 2 trees, like they were left over. It's terrible. How we have no nature. And what Catherine Mathewson says is nature heals. And this is what we need. And we're getting a homeless shelter down at the bottom on the Alameda, the arena. We need to have a garden here at 615. It needs to be a garden. That's the work. That's even a job. And that's healing for these people that we're putting in our neighborhood. We need nature, and food is nature. And we need to be doing that all over.
All right, Paul.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I went ahead and I reviewed those. That is some excellent writing. If I do say so myself, that is an excellent in terms of what it is my life experience is, what it has been, how that life experience, because all you're looking at right there, that's the reason for racial equity, right there. If you want to know like an expansion on what it is that Councilman Perales articulated, not only did he articulate it, but Councilwoman Arenas gave that experience, all of that in there, but she gave it from the mother's perspective, from the señoras, from the female perspective, within the context of a community. She gave an excellent articulation of that within the context of city government. Right, what you see there, that is what institutionalized racism looks like. That is what systemic racism looks like. I was surprised that the doctor, that's why doctors, they can work with the community, but coming into these barrios and throwing your Greek letters behind you and thinking that you're going to get my respect in this city, it's not going to happen, homie. It's not going to happen. You need to know when you're stepping somewhere, you know better than that, because I'm not impressed by those degrees. I'm not impressed by your Greek letters behind you. So there's nothing about you that impressed me. And what I'm telling you is what is in that document, you have my permission to go ahead and use it. Because that right there, that is a complete articulation and accurate one, a very coherent one that centers the political, the social, the economic, and the spiritual consequences and impacts of what redlining has done in this city. And redlining is just an extension of another process. And what that process is called is manifest destiny. That right there is at its core. What you see there in that document is the modern, contextual, contemporary reverberation of what happened then. That's all I got to say to my city.
Blair?
Hi, thank you for Tessa's words about myself. I'm really into the ideas of how open public policies and openness and accountability can really build the ideas of peace and sustainability and good open democracy for our future. And I think it really can address, war and harm as ways to work. I think we can develop important new ways to work based on openness and accountability. The ACLU ideas have been really amazing to me the past 7 years, and I guess it's time to thank them. I wish I could talk more about where these ideas initially come from that I feel had some basis in San Jose Sunshine Ordinance ideas of 2007 that I should be talking more about. And so thank you for all this work and effort. We are trying to build a more sustainable future, I think. And I wanted to thank at this time Tony and her work as a city clerk. Since COVID, the meeting minutes have been going way, way downhill. And Paul really called it out last November. And I think since then, they are really making an effort to bring back the meeting minutes process. And good luck in this continued good work and we can harp on them occasionally to make sure that they can get all those meeting minutes back on the public website and a regular part of our process again, and they can be good again, and they can do that. And it seems like they're wanting to and willing to do that. So thank you, and thank you amazingly that you're placing agendas on the rules and open government meetings before 12 p.m. If you can continue to do that, that's a great next step. And then you can bring in Paul and Tessa, who want to bring in these agendas to be brought in maybe on Tuesdays and Mondays. But I'm satisfied that we're doing it before 12 a.m. right now, or 12 p.m. right now. Thank you incredibly for that.
Brian?
Hi, Vice Mayor. Is the public records searchable as a single database, or do you have to search the entire database on the city site? I'm not sure if there's an advanced feature for searching the public records or a certain part of the city site. I tried doing it through a Google compounded search, and I didn't get much work for it. I'm not sure when they digitize the stuff, when it's electronic, I'm sure it's searchable. Some of the stuff is not digitized. It's more just copies of stuff that are put in there. And so you can't really search it for text. If anybody could answer that question. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Tony, is the public record searchable?
No. It's just a PDF attachment, so you'd have to, yeah, it's not, you'd have to go through each PDF.
Thank you. All right, bringing it back to the committee. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to note and file.
Second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Peralez,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
On to the consent calendar. We're gonna go to the public first. Blair?
Hi. To speak to African American Month, I had an interesting time in the weekend of the MLK birthday celebrations a few weeks ago. His words were often about how we can't work towards peace and justice and a poor people's campaign without a healthy environment. I'm interested how we can talk about the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in terms of green sustainability and low-income neighborhoods in San Jose for the next few years. A few things also became clear to myself from that weekend, that from progressive, well-intentioned, good ideas and efforts in voting rights this past decade from people like Stacey Abrams and the African American community. Yes, sir?
It's specific to the flag raising ceremony?
Well, I'm talking about the celebratory practices that can take place around African American issues and, say, voting rights issues, that I think the African American community has a certain perspective that is amazingly important to talk about at this time.
Yeah, but let's keep it specifically to the item on the consent.
Okay,
calendar.
just to quickly conclude, it's an African American community that can develop an incredible unity towards voting rights issues in this next decade that can very much address a more defensive, reactionary position that we're taking across the country with voting rights issues that we shouldn't have to take. And it's African American incentives and ideas that can really bring us through this next decade of important voting rights measures for all of us. And it is the ideas of unity. And it is from that, Chappie Jones, that I hope your flag raising ceremony goes incredibly well. And these ideas can be considered as you're raising the flags of African awareness and celebration for the month of February. Thank you.
Thank you. Person just with the initial S.
I want to address the lighthouse, item 2. I think the only correct thing to do is waive the permit fees.
We haven't gotten to that item yet. It's the next item after the consent calendar, so.
Okay, sorry, I will hold my fire.
No worries. Tessa?
Okay, good. So I guess I'm just trying to get away. I'm outside and it's 6 feet away from everybody. And so let's see. So basically what I wanted to say is, hello, in regards to the consent calendar, it was the African American thing. And I saw that on the calendar and I called my girlfriend, Demetrius Hedeman, but she's half black and half Mexican. She sounds like she's German, but she married a German, and she lives at Cinnabar Commons. And I told her, oh, Demetrius, you need to come to this meeting so that you can talk about the African American experience and raising the flag. And she said, oh, I have nothing. You know, she had nothing good to say about it. She says that she's been mistreated since her slavery days, and so there's nothing to celebrate. Anyway, that is very important to me, and I wanted her to do it, but she couldn't even figure out how to get it onto the thing. So it needs to be simpler. How we really get to the city, you know, to these meetings. It should be just one button on the top of the, something that makes it really easy to get to city council meetings and be able to talk. And we have to work on that. And then the other thing is in regards to, I guess, well, there's that one, but so that the African American, and that's why, when I tell her about, she doesn't want that hotel. She's in our neighborhood at Cinnabar Commons. She wants housing. What? Okay, but I'm saying that's her voice as a Black woman. And I'm just celebrating her as a Black woman and what she wants in our neighborhood.
I'm sorry, Tessa.
What? Okay, so you're saying it has to do with the consent calendar, the flag raising. Okay, so the issue was that, what are we celebrating? And she's not happy that we're celebrating Black Month because we're not taking care of the planet. We're not taking care of each other. And this is the truth. We don't take care of each other. We pollute. Polluting is because we don't love each other. We don't care about each other. And this has to change. And everything has to be about
Paul? Paul, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? You can?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, I don't see my timer. I'm confused. Hold on. I need to see the timer, and then I need to be able to can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Okay, cool. Now, all right, cool. Thank you, because that was confusing, but thank you. I'd like to draw the council, anybody that's on this call, to the symbol that I've used for a long time. It says power to the people. And what it has is a huelga bird. And that huelga bird is a symbol of Chicanos. And it was derived from the Iglesia, from all the education that Cesar Chavez received here in the CSO, right there on the ground. My father, I have a picture of, has a tent right there where McDonald Hall is. That's how connected I am to Sanjo, to Chicanismo, to the lowrider movement, to the farm workers movement, and to the Chicano movement. That's how connected I am to it. And I'm proud of that fact. And so look at the symbol that I wear. It has a panther coming out. And I saw that solidarity no more beautifully articulated in San Jose art than at San Jose State University, where you have two men, Tommy Smith and Juan Carlos, both in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. And prior to that, the week prior to that, there was a mass student murder. Over 50 students were murdered in that city prior to that because they were using the Olympics to protest. And what Tommy Smith and Juan Carlos did in the city, they honored me as a Mexican. They honored me by, it was that city at that time that they rightfully earned. They raised their black fist in solidarity with the Panthers, but they also formed a solidarity with the poor. Their shoes are brand name Puma. I don't buy any other shoes other than Puma. And they had their shoes taken off. And what that meant was they had solidarity with the poor. And so they demonstrated what it means to have Black and Chicano power solid and together.
All right, S?
Okay, this is
We're still on the flag raising because
Yep. I think that people need to be really careful calling in, talking about the support of the flag raising, which I think everyone should support, and then using my Black friend doesn't want a hotel. That's really a horribly racist thing to do and definitely tone deaf. And normally I wouldn't call in about something like this because it's the same thing that Martha and I complained about earlier. But people really need to think about what they're doing when they do stuff like that. You can't use your friend who's a person of color to make a point about your pet project. That's just horribly, horribly racially insensitive and tone deaf. Jesus, that's all.
All right. Bringing it back to the committee. Can I get a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Peralez,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are on to the Lighthouse Ministries food pantry item. And I'm gonna go to the public. We're gonna start out with Tessa.
Okay, good. Yes, that was so important that we look at this issue and the hypocrisy of charging them almost $16,000 to do that, to be able to provide food for free, and that just caused so much turmoil in our society. I mean, our community to see that, and I'm glad it's changing. And and it's the same thing, the same issue in terms of when we have to do a general plan change. It's $30,000 to do a general plan change if we want to do that at 615 Stockton Avenue. 30,000. When we did it, it was 5,000. In 2005. And the thing is that is a chilling effect. The same with the food. That was a chilling effect to make it more unavailable. The food, the basic needs, and just like changing back to residential to housing to make it difficult because you want to keep your general plan. That we know that, and we know you want that money, and that it's the same issue. That it's going to cost us $30,000 to go back to housing. That has to be stopped. We need to stop that because we need housing, just like we need food. So this is the corollary: is the food? It should not have been. There should be no fees for permitting. And I think that there are issues. They have to most likely have a conditional use, that they do a good job and keep it clean and keep it fossil fuel free. That would be great. And those type of issues. But that doesn't take 15,000, and you can, that just has to be built into the permit. And just like the 30,000 to turn it back to residential, when that was the original plan, was for the west side of Stockton to all be residential. And then if we build it fossil fuel free, it could be under conditional uses. That's why we need noise ordinances and we need pollution ordinances. But we don't need, big bureaucracy to charge $30,000 or $15,000 to provide food, or $30,000 to provide housing.
All right, Brian.
Thank you. I'm this is the main reason I logged on today, and I do appreciate being able to log on. It really means a lot. Thank you. I understand why I haven't had a chance to actually go by that particular area. I understand there was a lot of frustration about a lot of people showing up in the Haven. I get all that, but people lining up for food, that permit, really rubbed me the wrong way, but I understand why they need to do it. I'm glad to see it's going to be addressed. It's just sad. I don't know what to say, that, even compared to the Romans, we are the richest country that has ever existed in the entire history of our species, the entire 200,000 years of this species, from the Serengeti all the way to here, and we can't feed all of our own people. That is terrible. That should be what people talk about as well. It's mind-boggling that we can land on the moon, and even come up with a way to stop what killed the dinosaurs, a potential ability to deflect or stop an asteroid, which could wipe out our entire species. We're the first species on this planet that's got to that apex, and we're flushing it all down the toilet, which is really frustrating and irrelevant. It doesn't have to happen that way. But I think what this person's doing with the food is really important. Anyways, I got a little far off there. Sorry, Vice Mayor. I yield my time back.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi. Blair Beekman here. For this item, I guess it's a lot of difficult work what we have to do around COVID issues and decisions we have to make. I think there's a certain logic to what the city is offering that can be respected. I think, this was first made when Omicron was coming on, and I think we've all made some really interesting decisions, not based so much on vaccine use, but just people to people contact and how do we address that? And you've tried to do that, and which is nice. And in those terms, but the overall thing is not so great. And good luck how we can continue to work on this. I think if people are determined to bring food to people at St. James, they can make the efforts to contact City Hall and city government, and good luck in those efforts to do that. I guess I quickly wanted to ask and to offer that Vice Mayor Jones, you and I have been going back and forth about what is acceptable public comment for myself. On the last item, I spoke about how African American issues can have an important factor in the next decade of our voting rights, an important good factor. And you denied me that public comment. I think you have to learn to better trust my judgment and character in the future. And it's as simple as that. You don't, and you need to learn to. And that's the argument we're going back and forth about all this time. Good luck how we can work on that issue between ourselves. And I think I delivered a very nice public comment previously, and you denied that. And you tried to take that away when I was doing something incredibly decent, fairly decent. My best attempts, nice guy attempts. So
Go back.
I'm done now. I'm just about done, and just you're doing it again. I think you should allow me the space to conclude as I'm trying to conclude, and to apologize also, and good luck how we can.
S.
Again, shout out to Blair. Not every issue goes back to the same hotel issue. It's disrespectful and alienates you from potential allies. I hope you hear me. As far as Lighthouse goes, the only reason that this food pantry exists is because there's such a dire need. And the community really, really appreciates this. It's not that they just feed like 1,000 people a day. It's that those people take that food and take it back home. So one person picks up a bag of food, takes that home and feeds 4 more people. And I think that's amazing. And I know we work with them a lot. We're getting tons of supplies from them, and we appreciate that because then we take it out to other camps. I am so grateful to have Lighthouse and in an area where we need services, and they exist because the city and county and other groups just aren't able to provide the same services in the same areas. We need more lighthouses. We need more beacons of light in the community. And they've done an amazing job, and I am so grateful to them. I am so happy to work with them. There should be no special use permits. There should be no fees. We should just be thanking them for existing and for partnering and working with groups like mine and with other groups, because the work that they do is just amazing. And again, they couldn't exist and serve so many people if there wasn't such a need. If we didn't have so many people falling into homelessness and so many people who couldn't pay rent, it wouldn't exist.
All right. Paul?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I'm not sure if that threat was to me, but I'll go ahead and accept it as such. I just heard somebody get on this call and say, I hope you hear me, when she's talking about somehow or another maybe stopping a certain process. All I do is come here and participate in the democratic process. That's all I do. I set intellectual, philosophical, and arguments that are rooted in life experience in the city, and I bring them to these meetings, and I center it within the context of public meetings. And so speaking cryptically and insinuating and putting this into the record, that's what I just, it needs to be a part of the record. And if she did mean me, then just be woman enough to stand up and say, yeah, that was intended for you. I'll accept that. I don't have a problem with that. But when comments are made like that, you know exactly what kind of political alignment, what political alliances, what political position the person is taking. The issue is this. That is part of the problem, not the solution. You got Lighthouse to where I live in a city where you are going to ask for tax breaks for to install market rate housing, and you're going to create an issue where you're going to deny what someone like Lighthouse is doing within a community, and you're going to embarrass the city. You're going to embarrass a Lighthouse, and you're going to embarrass the people that receive that service within the community. We need to ask ourselves the question, not whether or not there's a fee waiver, but why do we have that kind of need in our city in the first place? Why? That's the question. That is the original question. Why is there such a need? Why is there such hunger? Why is there such just a complete dilapidation of areas and human beings? And it's due to neglect. And these are generations of neglect. That's the topic. And your silence in
Pastor Omos.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Lighthouse. My name is Pastor Ralph Olmos. I am the CEO and pastor of the Lighthouse Ministries. I want to thank Councilmember Perales and Mayor Liccardo for bringing this issue forward. I think that this is my first time on this type of panel, and I'm hearing everything that people are saying, and a lot of it's true. What you said was true, and I really appreciate those words because there is obviously a great need within our community. I am interested in learning a lot more. I grew up here in the Northside community. I figured if I'm going to start something, I would like to help here first. And I did not realize how great the need was for help. And when I stepped into this position, my wife says, you know, you can't turn back now. You're helping many people. And now that I've been doing this, and I realize there's so many people involved in this and the partners, this little issue during the pandemic really shocked me because I would have figured that, you know, something would have been in place to protect people that want to help people. And we've done everything in our power to try to, you know, follow every rule. I knew that issues such as parking and double parking would be an issue during this pandemic, but there are people that don't have places to quarantine that are homeless. Bigger issues that involve children and families and disabled and senior citizens in our neighborhoods. You know, every neighborhood, even from I think it was Paul from the Horseshoe, those are old neighborhoods. These all are old neighborhoods, and they have family members that go back to that old code. And we're kind of looking to that right now, just for compassion and a good heart to help us move forward. So thank you for this opportunity, and I pray that it does pass. You know, we want to continue helping. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Chappie. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much. I just want to put my 2 minutes in, and everybody, the unhoused and the families in that area appreciate and love the Lighthouse Food Pantry just tremendously. And thank you for all your hard work. And I truly believe that this Rules Committee and our City Council will step up. It should have never come to this to begin with, but you know, I do appreciate Liccardo and Raul. I mean, it is an election year. I'm sorry, Raul, but you haven't stepped up with some of the unhoused before, but you are stepping up, and I think it's a great thing, and thank you so much for that. And let's make sure everybody that has a food pantry, they don't have to even go through this, because I know it's been very stressful for everybody. And I have faith in this committee and the council, which usually I don't have too much faith in them, but I know you will step up because this is a wonderful program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail. Before I bring it back to the committee, I know there's an early consideration response form. Lee, do you want to speak to that?
Just that it's a green light based off of staff's analysis, and our Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement, Chris Burton, is here to answer any questions the committee might have.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Perales?
Yeah, thank you very much, Vice Mayor. And I want to say thank you to staff for the quick response, and really for Pastor Olmos and Lighthouse Ministries for the service that they've been providing to the community. I want to make clear as well that our city staff were simply doing their jobs in this regard in responding to a complaint. And as this came to light and the operations that Lighthouse was doing and really the service that they provide in the community, it was important for me and the mayor to be able to try and propose a solution that would benefit everybody here. And so that's what we've come up with the direction we proposed. And we had a couple suggestions, but I see in the early consideration form that staff has a path that they feel would be beneficial moving forward. And I'll ask a question on that momentarily. But just to speak to the importance of this, and I think this goes without saying to my colleagues, but we know that throughout the past couple years that we've had a tremendous increase in food insecurity in our community, and we've seen food pantries get stretched to the limit, and having Lighthouse Ministries open up as a new opportunity and service, a new distribution site in an area that hadn't had this type of service before, and one that Pastor Olmos has a direct connection to, I think is something to truly be proud of and appreciative of. And I know our other food pantries have expressed their appreciation and interest to help make Lighthouse Ministries successful as well. The additional challenge that came forward was not necessarily just coming in compliance of operations, which I will say I met with Pastor Olmos and his team, and they are committed to a partnership with the city and committed to trying to alleviate the concerns that we heard from the neighbors that generated that initial complaint in the surrounding neighborhood. And so I'm grateful to the pastor and his team for stepping up, not only with working with us, but more importantly, what you've been doing already, filling the gap for residents who are struggling and food insecure. And so the secondary challenge that remains is now the cost of this fee. And so that's what we're trying to see if we can alleviate here or reduce in some way. And again, we suggested a couple different paths forward. I just wanted to see if I see in the early consideration form staff's response there, but I wanted to see if staff could explain, especially so Pastor Olmos can understand what does it look like for him moving forward, right, for the short term and then the long term.
Thanks, Councilmember Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement. So appreciate the question and certainly Council's attention to the issue. We're looking for a number of different opportunities to work with the pastor and the Lighthouse organization to ensure that we don't impact their operations. We know that this is an important service that they're providing to the community. So I think as we've noted previously in some of our conversations, there's a timeline that's laid out as far as the special use permit requirements in the notice that was provided to Lighthouse. So we have some flexibility to work around that. So as we move forward, exploring a program that supports the offset of the cost for the staff time that goes into that special use permit process, we'll ensure that we don't trip up on those timelines. We'll continue to move that back so that we can get that application in. As we approach code enforcement, we're always working at it from a stance of how do we get people into compliance. We're not there just simply to sort of shut people down and create these impacts to their operations. So we'll work with them on that. We'll work with them around the timeline to make sure that that there's no issue there. So as that program comes online, it will require some council approval. We'll sync up that special use permit application timeline for that.
Okay, so just to clarify then, in the short term right now, you will extend the deadline on that special use permit, which would then ultimately extend the need for them to pay anything in the meantime, while you're working with them to trying to come into compliance. But the dollar amount is the issue that could rise right at any point once the fee is has to be charged. And that's that secondary direction that you've given, and that's what you're saying, that work is going to take a little bit more time of actually staff time. And my understanding is that it's also something that needs to be done that is I guess categorical and not necessarily specific to one business or one operation, and that's why it's going to take some more time to be able to do that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So we'll look at creating a program that provides a cost offset, whether it's through other city funds or through a straight waiver that applies to food distribution businesses or operations, and sort of bring that forward for approval. And so there's that additional context we have to put to that. So that's the intent. But we certainly don't want to impact the operations of Lighthouse in the meantime. And so currently there's in the notice we provided, there was a timeline to submit a complete application for a special use permit for late April. We generally consider a complete application, obviously, to include payment of fees. So what we're saying is we can push that date back until the program's in place. So there's not a direct impact where they have to pay the money and we'll reimburse them later or figure that out, is that those timelines will align.
Okay, great. Thank you. So safe to say, or suffice to say, they're not having to pay anything right now. And then through the work that we're going to be undertaking and what we can consider during the budget, and obviously the work your team's going to be doing, we're going to be working to reduce or even potentially eliminate that fee in the future. But that's the work that we have ahead. And so I appreciate staff's work on this, and I will. This does need to go to full council. Is that correct?
The work to put the program together does not need to go to full council, but as we bring that program back, it will likely come through the budget process or some other means for approval.
Okay, so we don't need to refer anything now, so I can just
right.
make a motion then to approve based on the staff's early consideration form. Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cohen.
I think my question was just answered, Chris. I want to thank the pastor and Lighthouse Ministries. My question was about the applicability of this memo as a one-off on this particular case, or a more general application. And I think you were talking about trying to come up with a policy that would be applied more generally to programs that provide this kind of service in our community.
That's correct, council member. So we were going to take a look at how many applications have come in sort of recently, how many operations we're aware of, so we can right-size that program around food distribution uses. And certainly, as this comes forward to council, we can have a conversation if that needs to be expanded to consider any other sort of COVID-related uses that we think are appropriate that might otherwise fall into this social service category. So the Muni Code defines social services sort of quite broadly, and sort of tends to capture a number of these types of uses that are providing support and welfare to the local community. And so we may want to consider a little broader, but yes, it will be more applicable than just a single user.
And because you mentioned food services, obviously there's other kinds of distributions too, clothing and other supplies that are done regularly by certain organizations to our vulnerable community, to homeless encampments. So the policy would potentially apply more broadly than just food distribution.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we want to take a little bit of time just to look at a bit more deeply. And I think the reason that we certainly support moving forward the waiver or fee offset program versus kind of working directly with the emergency order is that I think, as a number of the speakers mentioned, that the need is great and will be ongoing. Probably well beyond the end of the emergency order. So we think it's appropriate to sort of address this in a more comprehensive manner.
You've been perfect at segueing into my next question, because my very next question was about the language in this memo that says a termination of local state of emergency. Clearly, our unhoused crisis is not, I mean, while it potentially has been exacerbated by the current emergency, that emergency is going to last for a long time beyond. Well, we hope that the COVID crisis will come to an end sometime soon, but that we know that the unhoused problem isn't going to be resolved as quickly. So I guess my only comment or maybe question was about that expiration, but it sounds like you're already thinking about a policy that would continue to exist beyond that emergency.
Yeah, absolutely, Councilmember. I think from our perspective, obviously, the situation came around as a result of a complaint into code enforcement. And I think, we do recognize some of the challenges with surrounding users and with the neighborhood. And, the special use permit process is designed to help us sort of figure that stuff out, right? Is to think through the operations and understand the impacts that the use has. And so, our intent is to sort of move forward. How do we deal with that special use permit requirement, the sort of cost aspect? We think that the process is actually going to benefit sort of these users and benefit the surrounding community on an ongoing basis. And so that's why we believe that the second recommendation is the better path forward, because tying it to the emergency order just makes it, as a sort of regulatory waiver, just makes it a fairly limited program, and doesn't give us that opportunity to then work with both the operator and the local community to find a solution.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I do appreciate the general point, the overall point, which is that we want to accommodate these services, but we don't necessarily, we still should have some ability to work with them to find better locations or more appropriate ways to operate without having that imposition on the community. So it makes sense that we would still have a process that must be followed, even if we find a way to waive fees for certain organizations that are doing this good work. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
All right. And Councilmember Peralez, you still have your hand up. I'm assuming was from before.
Yeah, that's from before. Sorry.
No worries. All right. So we have a motion and a second. No more comments. So Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Peralez,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. On to open forum. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I'm kind of disappointed that there wasn't a moral. Pastor Ramos, if you're still listening, por favor, señor, please speak with me first before you accept anything from the city. Please, I implore you, just please, if you would just give me an audience, just give me an hour of your time, señor, so I can educate you on what it is that's been happening in my city, what has been happening to me, and what it is that I've been doing that has been successful. Just please grant me that time, Pastor, por favor. Secondly, is that I'm disappointed that my city did not at least say something to the moral issues involved. I want that whole fee canceled. You know what? I apologize. I went against. I'm not supposed to speak on this because it's an agenda. I apologize. But I would like to speak to Councilman Peralez, and this is a formal plea. As me, I'm a kind of like an at-large member of GUANA, the Guadalupe, Washington Neighborhood Association, and I inform them, I give them the benefit of my attendance here at these meetings. And I offered to ask on their behalf, and they accepted, if you would please come to the next GUANA meeting. There's been 3 shootings, multiple people have been killed. Multiple people have been injured in gunfights inside my barrio, right across the street from Rocket Ship School, an elementary school. And we would just like the same services and courtesy that any other city would, any other part, in fact, just like maybe a mile down, half mile down, they would get a very different response than what is happening in our barrio. So we would ask that you and Chief Mata de Jefe, if you would please give us your time and your attention, because this is your district, and because there are children, abuelitas, tias, all people that contribute to the maintenance of that community. They're suffering right now, and we would like the power of our office, because you are in our district, that we would ask, please, for the power of your office to come and help us solve these problems of violence, of gun violence in our.
All right, Tessa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Guana, I love that name of that community center. And that, I was telling Paul, and I was realizing, I asked him to define the horseshoe, and he did for me. And actually, I'm Tessa Woodmansey, formerly of the Horseshoe myself. I lived in the Horseshoe. We lived anyways, part of the Horseshoe in North Willow Glen. We rented an apartment, condo, but whatever it was. Anyway, so that, but the issues are pollution. That's what, with the issues of everywhere that I've lived, because I've been a stay-at-home mom and we lived on one salary. And so we, lived on the areas that are polluting, like in North Willow Glen with the rail car, the Caltrain. And then buying our first home as a first-time home buyers, buying it on Stockton Avenue, with all living across from a bus depot. That's not good. That's how you get multiple sclerosis. If you want to get it, you can get it like me. That's where you live. But nobody cares about that, and nobody's cared about. Oh, I lived in San Francisco, but that's another story. But just living on a main road and all the pollution and the context of what we're talking about today. I guess I'm not supposed to talk about specific things, but when we're making the changes to our general plan, which we're doing in regards to food distribution, it needs to be fossil fuel free. We need to have that as a criteria, that it shouldn't be double parking and idling and all this stuff in our neighborhood. I wouldn't like that in my neighborhood. And so there are issues. And then there was a food production that was going to be on Lenzen, and they wouldn't allow them to have that on Lenzen. They had to go to the city, they had to get like a permit for a county permit, and we lost that food preparation. It wasn't food, it was just raw food. They were selling food, but they weren't allowed to. So, there is issues, but it needs to be fossil fuel free, and we need to promote that.
Alina?
Hello, I had a question, and I might have missed it earlier about the study session. So I wanted to know if a study session for the charter review has been set yet, and if not, when could we expect that date to be released to the public?
A study session has not been set yet. And Tony, do we have any, at least timelines or?
We do. I don't have it off the top of my head. I think it's the last 2 meetings in March.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, this is Lee Wilcox, Assistant City Manager. We'll be releasing a memo next week. That'll be heard by the Rules Committee the following week, kind of outlining the study sessions, the times, and the agendas.
Great, thank you. Martha?
Yeah, hi, Martha O'Connell, following up on a comment I made last week concerning my concerns about the privacy of medical information. Members of boards and commissions have been directed to disclose their vaccination status to various people in the departments. I really think this should be handled by the ADA compliance officer. There should be a high degree of scrutiny about who's collecting this information and where it's being stored. I did get an email back from the city attorney, and she is looking into it. So again, I would again encourage council to make sure that the privacy of the medical records and the vaccination status is going to a secured location where folks can feel good and comfortable about disclosing their medical information. Thank you.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, thank you, Blair Beekman. Thanks for the meeting today. From people like Stacey Abrams and the African American community, I feel that the subject of voting rights can become a more unified, understandable process for all sides in this next decade. I hope we can work through our current problems of voting practices across the country that has become overly defensive and reactionary. I'm also wondering how people from low-income neighborhoods of San Jose are interested in the connections of Dr. King's work towards peace, justice, the Poor People's Campaign, and green sustainability. Can we talk more about this work more regularly this upcoming year? A few other issues to note. I hope that you can really take care of the urban village situation. I don't think they should be allowed a free pass in the upcoming years. The subsidy plans that we're now working towards low-income housing are scheduled to start to be working for them in the next 6 months and few years. I think we should really question that. And if you are going to do that, really, really focus that it should be on extremely low and very low income for the future of these urban village projects, and not turn it into just a rich man's bonanza. Subsidies are meant to help people who need it, not rich investors. Thank you. I'm on a big kick about public meeting items at this time and how the process can be a bit more open. The consent calendar language can be a touch more clear. I'm willing to compromise on the mayor's ideas. I think we can do it in a way that invites a clearness and better practices for all of us. I think we feel a bit shortchanged at this time, although he's trying to do things. Good luck how we can work on this issue in the next few months. And to conclude, we've got a ton of reimagined health and human services, racial equity. It can really address the law enforcement questions of this time. It organizes Vision Zero help, and good luck in our efforts.
All right, that's closes public comments and open forum. So that's it for this meeting. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.